What's going on, everybody? And right now, man, I'm covering people with a traumatic past allow the same experience to happen to them just through different people, places, and things because really they haven't went within and uncovered the pattern that is actually recreating that experience. Because look, if someone is gonna rob my house, for example, I have to leave the door open or forget the door open. So when people are repeating experiences through different people at different places, just doing different things and shit like that, it's because there is an undercover pattern. The hood of the car mentally has not been opened yet, and the pattern itself, which is negative in nature to their life, which they claim is negative, has not been investigated in such a thorough depth way where the toxic emotions can be pinpointed and cleansed and removed. Because a lot of the times we'd be attached to past reference points, things that happened to us in the past, perhaps when we were younger and shit like that, and we allow those experiences to recreate themselves. Because a lot of the times our psyche is created on a program, let's just say, for lack of a better word, on a subconscious, unconscious level, to the point that there are certain patterns that take hold of our conscious reality that we may view as normal, but it's really like our nervous system is programmed a particular way, your heart can be programmed a particular way, to the point that you can literally recreate the same negative cycles, the same life experiences, or just the same programming, recreate that situation in the future, and then look at the current situation and wonder, well, damn, why am I repeating the same situation just through a different person, place, or thing? And here's the thing: we might just sit back and blame that person outside of us. We might blame that workplace. We might blame that person. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of the times we have to understand this: it takes two to tango. So that person, whether they're negative, whether they're bad, whatever their intention is, whatever their desire is, it can't be fulfilled unless we go into that situation and fulfill it ourselves. That's why a lot of the times evil attracts good and good attracts evil, because it's like the two kind of complete each other, right? So one person on the one person might be like, well, I'm such a good person, I'm such a great person. Why is it that I keep recreating that same situation? Well, it's because you could be subconsciously and definitely subconsciously, unconsciously operating underneath a pattern that we are not investigating, to the point that we're playing out certain traits, certain behaviors that suggest to other people that they can come do something to you. Because look at it this way, right? A robber cannot rob you unless you tell them that you're in fear, unless you tell them that you're scared. So that means that there is a subconscious bias that we are in about our conscious day-to-day operations, about how we should behave, about the things we go about from day to day, the thoughts and things that we generate. Because some people have a particular thought about how something should be done, as far as a logic. You could be even stuck in the wrong form of morality and shit like that. But people have a certain logic how things should be communicated, like you should be honest with everybody and tell everybody your business and shit like that. Or people can think like, oh no, things should be practicalized this way and shit like that, right? Or people could be in a feeling like of shame, of guilt, like, oh, they should allow other people to do something to them that they're not supposed to stand up for. Because a lot of people, like, for example, even in like high school and shit like that, a lot of people won't stand up to their bully because they may not have the courage to do it. Well, courage and taking action may be something that person that perceives like this negativity happening to them, they might need to work on that, because they might not be taking action to show the other person that, hey, they can't get away with this. And if you allow someone to do something to you, or just get away with something, and you don't take action about it, you're subconsciously communicating to them that, hey, this is okay. To the point that, let's say, for example, just a simple example, at work, for example, you could be taking on an extra shift that you don't want to take, but because you didn't take action, you didn't have courage, you didn't have the grit to grasp what you want. And here's the thing: a lot of people look at force like it's a bad thing. Sometimes you gotta be passionate. Sometimes you gotta take force. You gotta use force, but you gotta take action. Otherwise, someone else will use their mental force on you, right? So if you're not forceful with certain things, like if you have like boundary problems and shit like that, don't wonder why people are constantly jumping into your space, taking your shit, or taking advantage of you, or you give them a ride to work, and then they just constantly become narcissistic about you giving them a ride to work, and here they are complaining about it. Because whatever the situation has built up into, that's something that we have allowed in the first place. So if you allow something, you have to understand how you're allowing that situation to even come about. Because it's literally, for even a bad perceived situation to come, it's literally just in our perception. Like, we can look at it like, for example, if you got robbed, okay, that's physically bad. You could have probably stopped it. And look, it plays out in many different ways, right? But here's the thing. Even if a negative situation happens, your perception, your mind is so powerful, you can look at that situation differently and look at it like, you know what? This is something that's good for me. Down to even if you lose your job, you can be like, yeah, you know what? One door closes, another door opens. So there's positive ways to process negativity. There's positive ways to, process traumatic experiences, although losing your job is not a traumatic experience. For some people, it could be, because if you never lost your job or you've never been through anything hard in your life, like some shit like that might be like devastating and shit, yo. So we gotta understand that as active participators in our life, we have to look at ourselves, because we are the starting point for our life. We are why things happen to us. If you don't look at yourself in the mirror and take accountability and responsibility for what it is that's happening to you, like, then you're forever gonna play that victim role of, accepting whatever the circumstances and just feeling bad. Oh, life is difficult. Oh, wallowing in sorrow or whatever the fuck it is. Just feeling bad for yourself for the lack of ability to even be able to help yourself and shit like that. And a lot of times it just be simple shit. Simple shit like just taking action, having courage. A lot of the times in movies they show you like the sun kills vampires and parasites and demons and shit like that. That's because when you shine your light in the world, you're able to display the glory of God, the glory of yourself, the glory of your handiwork. And that tells people to fuck off, depending on, how you go about that and shit like that, right? But our solar plexus could be suffering sometimes. Our throat chakra could be suffering sometimes. It's a lot of different parts of our faculties, a lot of different part of our multidimensional nature that we may not be accessing or using to rectify the situation, just because we're not adjusting or willing to be uncomfortable, in a new and familiar situation, or in a situation that we are comfortable in behaving in a particular way. Because sometimes a lot of people feel comfortable with their programmed, regulated behaviors that they go about every single day, to the point that they don't want to get out of that. But the best thing you can do in life is actually be uncomfortable, allow yourself to go through new situations, because that's what's gonna, develop that new self. Because life is about constant change. Like the stock market never stays the same. It's always constantly changing. The crypto market never stays the same. It's always changing. The same technology that we used from 1,000 years ago in battle is always changing. Now we got fucking ballistic missiles. Now we got fucking rifles and all types of shit. Things are always changing. So if we don't, and this is like a person who gets really old and they're stuck so solidified into their old behavior, into their behaviors and patterns, to the point that they can't even catch up with the new times that's going on. Because at this point they became too rigid, they became too solidified into how something is supposed to be done. Like they're left brain wise and shit like that. Versus other older people that are still childlike and are constantly playing, constantly having fun, constantly adjusting. Because here's the thing, life is just about play. Life is about just having fun. But a lot of people don't allow themselves to have fun. A lot of people just allow them to make themselves, I guess just based upon their programming and stuff like that, to operate in a particular way that really could be detrimental and negative to themselves. So at that point, you gotta ask yourself questions like, okay, do I even value the right things? Like, do I even have self-love? Do I even respect myself? Because a person that has self-love, a person that respects themselves, would never allow certain things to happen to them, would never allow themselves to feel a certain way, regardless of the situation and shit like that. So it really take like going within and uncovering those layers and really just looking at yourself and just taking accountability and responsibility, because no one is going to do it for you. And if you allow someone else to do it for you, like how society programs you to wait for someone outside of you to save you, like I would never go to HR for certain shit. I would just go take it into my own hand. Like certain stuff you can't pray to God for. Like people sit down, pray to God, God help me please, I need this, I need that. But here's the thing, even in these scriptures, in these books, it explains to you and it tells you that God helps those who help themselves. Because it's like, you got to look at God like a thought, like a feeling that we have in our mind. But if we're too stuck inside of a thought, inside of a feeling, inside of a frame of mind, and we can't shake that and get out of that, God will never be able to give you any type of new state of being, any type of new mind to deal with these things that are going on in our lives. So you got to be able to jump out of that old mind into a new mind. And it may be uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar, because we be so solidified into old patterns and shit like that, to the point that it becomes kind of like almost like death-like, but mentally. So there's a lot of practices you can get into to begin to let go. You know, one of them being practicing clairvoyance, or you can just attack that trauma inside of you that's preventing you from even taking certain things. Because trauma is not even bad. It's just about processing trauma. But society doesn't teach you to do that. Society teaches you to cope with trauma. Society just teaches coping mechanisms. Down to the medical industry, they teach you how to cope with the symptoms rather than dealing with the root of the problem. You know, it's a lot of different things that are thought to us to cope and shit like that. A society is not meant for you to, like, you know, become the man or the woman, or you be him or be her or be the king or be the queen and shit like that. Society don't teach you that. So that's why it's important to, you know, use your own time to really uncover who you are, get rid of the things that, or just balance the things that you're supposed to be balancing with. Because a lot of the times you just be like certain characteristics, certain traits that need to be transmuted into its higher equivalent, side, so we can actually use those traits to actually bring about the reality that we want to bring about. Because we can be using our traits to help someone else manifest what they want, but what about us? And again, that's a person that could lack self-respect, self-love, because a person that has self-respect, self-love, it's just certain things that they won't do. Real shit. With that being said, everybody, peace out. Hope this helped somebody. Take care, and I'm going to see y'all in the next video. Real stuff.